Hello dear friends, I hope everybody will be fine. Today in this video I will explain you the classification of beam. Classification of beam. Classification of beam. Classification of beam. Depending upon the type of supports, beam are classified as follows. First, cantilever beam. Cantilever beam. Cantilever beam is the beam. Cantilever beam is the beam which is half. One end is free and another is fixed is called a cantilever beam. Which one end is free and another end is free is called a cantilever beam. The beam which is half, one end is fixed and another is free is called cantilever beam. Look at here in this diagram. Suppose this is a beam. Look at here, dear friends. This one end is fixed and another one is free. This is nothing but W. W is nothing but that is the load which is acting in this beam. A and B. The distance between A and B is called length of cantilever beam. Length of cantilever beam or span of the beam is called this type of beam is called a cantilever beam. And the second one is simply supported beam. Second one simply supported beam. This is the second one. Second one is a simply supported beam. Simply supported beam is the beam which is half to support. At the end of that is called a simply supported beam which is half to support. Look at here in this diagram. In this diagram I will show you simply supported beam. Look at here, dear friends. The load is acting W1, W2 and W3. These load acting in this beam A and B. This type of beam is called a simply supported beam. This is this one is equal to L. L is nothing but span span of the beam. Span of the beam. This is known as a simply supported beam. Is known as a simply, this type of beam simply supported beam. This type of beam is known as a simply supported beam. Simply supported beam is the beam which is have to support. One support is this one, and another support is this one, which is called end support. End support is a simply supported, which is have to support, is called a simply supported beam. And another one, in the third one, we have overhanging beam. Overhanging beam. In the third, we have overhanging beam. Which is have overhanging beam. The beam which is the supports are not switched at the end. One or both end projected beyond the support. Look at here in the figure. In the figure I will show you the overhanging beam. Look at here, dear friends. I will show you here the diagram. Which is the load is acting in this side. This is called W1. This is called W2. This is called W3. A, C, D, B. Between A and B, C and D. Between A and C, this part is overhang. C and D, this is called simply support span. Simply support span. This part is also known as overhanging. This part or this type of beam is known as a overhanging beam. This portion is from A to C. This portion is overhanging, and also D to B. This portion is also overhanging, but there is two support. C in this part is simply supported, in another this one is overhanging, which is at the end is overhanging. This type of beam is known as a overhanging beam. In the fourth one, we have a fixed beam. Fourth, fixed beam. Fixed beam is the beam which is both end is fixed, is called a fixed beam. There will be wall or column. This is also fixed beam. Fixed beam, look at here in the diagram. This is a fixed beam. I will show you here. There will be wall or column. A in B, but there will be load acting W1 in W2. Between A and B, this will be span or length of the beam. Simply supported beam is the beam which is both end. One end is this one, another end is this one, which both end is fixed, is called a simply supported beam. In the last one I will show you, in the last one, fifth one, continuous beam. Continuous beam. Continuous beam is the beam which is have more than two support, is called a continuous beam. The beam which is have more than two support is called a continuous beam. Look at here in this diagram. A in B, there will be load acting W1, W2 and W3. This portion or this type of beam is known as a, look at here, this type of beam is known as a continuous beam. Continuous beam which is half more than two support. Look at here, 1, 2, 3, 4. More than two support is called a continuous beam. Between A and B, there will be also called intermediate beam, like this one, C and D. This is also called internal support or intermediate support, but A in B is called end support. A in B is called end support. This type of beam is known as this type of beam is called what? Continuous beam. Which is have more than two support is called a continuous beam. This type of beam is called a continuous beam. Look at here in this diagram. You will clear your doubts. Dear friends, please subscribe to my channel for more update videos.